The following is a segment from the Carl King Podcast. If you enjoy this show, be sure to like, subscribe, and send us burritos. Up next, we have Escape from L.A. from 1996. And this film was directed by John Carpenter, a USC dropout. And this film's script was so complex that it required 3 people to work as a team. So it was screenwritten by John Carpenter, Deborah Hill, and Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell was 45 years old at the time, and I believe he added only a single forgettable line, which is, "Call me Snake." And that confused me because Kurt Russell actually plays a character named Bob. And by the way, he happens to be the same actor from Escape from New York, and they even look somewhat similar. But I'm not sure if this one is officially a sequel or a reboot in a different location, because they are somewhat alike and they even recycle some of the same dialogue. Regardless, we do know that Escape from LA was in development for 10 years because John Carpenter and his team wanted to get every little detail exactly perfect this time, especially the computer graphics for the underwater scene. And in an interview, Carpenter claimed it was exactly 10 times better than the previous movie. So I would say that makes it a success. I did notice that for this film, they used the same musical theme from Escape from New York, which was a big time saver. And from a budgetary standpoint, it's always a good thing to cut down on costs. John Carpenter probably had to pay less money to the composer. And this is an old trick borrowed from the director of the classic TV show Knight Rider. It was discovered that he would often recycle the same intro music from episode to episode in order to avoid paying his composer for brand new music every single week. Speaking of costs, the budget of Escape from LA was $50 million and the box office was $25 million. So once again, we have the John Carpenter law, which states John Carpenter movies can only make back 50% of their budget. Now, regarding some of the other actors, I was as shocked as the rest of you. Michelle Forbes is in this film. That's right, Admiral Helena Kane from Battlestar Galactica. What a character that was. And there's also Valeria Golino from 4 Rooms, although that was my least favorite of the 4 Rooms. And it turns out the Surgeon General of Beverly Hills was Bruce Campbell. Well, I watched this whole movie and had no clue. And there's also A.G. Langer. That's Claire Danes' wild best friend from My So-Called Life, also known as Rayanne Graff. But who cares who was in this? Let's talk about the film itself. We get a heavy computer graphics exposition opening, very much in the same style as Escape from New York, and some say the usage of CGI in this film was out of control, and some say it was just what it needed. And in one of the early scenes, an actor named Commander Malloy spritzes his cactuses with a water spray bottle. And in filmmaking terminology, that is called a setup that will be later paid off in the final minutes of the story, also known as a Chekhov's cactus. And I'll get back to that later, as it is relevant to this exact filmmaking lesson. Now, I want to take a quick turn here. How many of you listeners have heard of an artist called Retro Gimmick? He hand creates these one-of-a-kind bizarre action figures from movies, and they look like those authentic Star Wars blister packs with the logos and all that. But it's either background characters you'd never expect, or very unusual twists on them. For instance, I bought a Luke's power converters from Star Wars, which was entirely empty, because, Luke never got those power converters. And scrolling through the Retro Gimmick Etsy store, he's got a dude wearing cargo shorts, Alex Jones's gay frogs, and Darth Beiger, which is simply a Darth Vader but more beige. And I'll put a link to his Etsy shop in the bio. Anyway, my point is, I think Retro Gimmick should make one of Commander Malloy spritzing his cactuses. And that is not a euphemism, sir. Now, at some point, the bad guys capture the main adventure hero, Bob, and handcuff him to a walking treadmill. So he has to exercise for no reason. And maybe this is a joke about how everyone in LA exercises nonstop. But in the movie, they never give a reason for it. According to my inside connections in the industry, the people who screenwrited Escape from LA literally got in a room together and said, quote, "What if we had this? What if we had that?" Unquote. And so the movie ended up with a scene in which the protagonists hang glide from Hollywood all the way to Disneyland. And that is approximately 30 miles away. Hey, that sounds totally plausible to me. But I looked it up, and it seems like the world record for hang gliding might actually be over 200 miles. Okay then, I will let everyone know. So this movie becomes a series of silly fun and games scenes like a Harry Potter movie. And because so many people feel nostalgic for this John Carpenter movie, whether it is any good or not, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. If you enjoyed this segment from the Carl King podcast, remember, you can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or through an old rubber hose.